Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. It is now time for your sustainability update with my friend, your friend, Phil. Groupie. Phil, how you doing?
Doing great. Hi, friends.
You know, I
very Mr. Rogers kind of an intro. I like that.
You're the only one I say this for now. I stopped saying it for other people.
That we're friends?
That we're friends.
Oh, I'm sorry for everyone else, but thank you.
Yep. Hopefully nobody else is watching that's regular guests on this. Because then I'll be in trouble. But nevertheless, Phil, it's, well, I'm going to say it. It's the dead of summer now. And
it sure is.
Boy, has it been an interesting year, as always. A little bit warm, a little bit wet.
82 today is the high, so that's, we were hitting that in, late March? And then suddenly it cooled way down, and we're back, baby.
We got second, third, fourth winter, and
that's
then
right. Now we're into second summer.
I think we got a spring officially this year.
It was a very nice spring. I appreciated that.
And then everybody's like, well, where's the summer? Where's the summer?
Here it is.
And yeah, late June, I was on a fishing trip up north. It got down to 40 in late June. And I was like, what's going on here? And then when I got back, bam, hello, summer.
Probably made for some good fishing, though.
It was a little rough. It was like it was
too much high pressure. Okay.
It was rough. Nevertheless, we're going to be not talking about fishing. We're going to be talking about sustainability and kicking things off. Talking about one of your favorite subjects. We've talked about this before.
We have.
I'm so excited, and I've got some resources to quiz you here in a minute.
All right.
But August 15th is National Honeybee Day, and you're like, well, we're talking about July here.
We sure are.
But it's never too early to talk about bees.
It's never too early. It's never too late.
So, Mr. Bee Guy here, he loves everything bees.
I really do.
So, can you name the, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 bees of Wisconsin?
So there are 400 species of bees in Wisconsin.
First off, I picked 5. Just give me
sure did.
5, Mr. Smart Aleck.
Are you looking for? So I believe what you're probably referring to is the 5 categories of bees as identified by the Wisconsin Extension's We Bee app. Those 5 categories would be honeybees.
Ding!
That's kind of our charismatic megafauna, as it were, of the bee world. The Apis mellifera, the European honeybee. You've got your bumblebees.
Ding! Boy, it's like he's reading it right off the website.
You've got little green bees.
Ding!
It'll be like your sweat bee is in that category. Love a sweat bee. Small dark bees.
Ding!
Large dark bees.
Ding!
And
non-bee was the other one.
Non-bee is the 6th one.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
So there you've got I forget the name, but there's a fly that mimics bees. It looks exactly like it, but there's just a little difference with the wings, a little difference with the eyes. Super fun. Super tricksy.
I need to learn more about the green bee. I don't know if I've ever even met this
little
bee.
Green metallic bees. So we'll just kick this off right away. This We Bee app is fantastic.
It is. It really is.
They especially are looking for people to use this. It's a great citizen science initiative. Get people to download the We Bee app, and that's WI, not we like all of us collectively, but WI for the state Wisconsin. We Bee. Download that app. Go pick a patch of flowers, whether it's in your yard or somewhere else, and just hang out there for 15 minutes and catalog every time. Maybe you can even do as short as 5 minutes, but every time something lands on a flower, you just mark which of those categories it fits into. This is why I knew those categories so well, I've used this app a bunch. And you're just marking, okay, this was a large dark bee. Oop, here's a small green bee. And those little metallic green bees, they're kind of hard to spot sometimes, but when you start looking for them, they're everywhere.
Yeah, was going to say, where the heck do you find these things? But
hanging out in flowers mostly.
Gotta go with the flowers.
Yeah.
Gotta go with the flowers.
So yeah, August 15th is National Honeybee Day, which there are 2 really important angles to approach this from. First of all, honeybees are great. So as I said, Apis mellifera, the European honeybee, as the name suggests, this is native to Europe. It's pretty much naturalized anywhere people live. It's followed us everywhere. We've brought it everywhere. It is integral to our food production efforts. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head. I think it's 30 or 40% of the food that we eat is at some point touched by pollinators, and primarily the pollinator that we use most often is the European honeybee. It's used across the U.S. When you hear about any kind of bee involvement in pollination for food production, anything from oranges in Florida all the way to almonds in California, you're probably talking about the European honeybee. super important. There has been a lot of focus in the last 10, 15 years on colony collapse disorder. This was a concern about trying to figure out, is it something involving a fungus or a parasite? Is there some other sort of disease going on? Is this something related to climate change, weather patterns, anything like that? This was colonies of European honeybees that there was concern about them. There's always a bit of a die-off in the winter, and then they bounce back in the spring. But the die-offs were more intense. The rebounds were a little bit less pronounced. European honeybee. It is universally the most well-known, most easily recognizable stinging insect.
You were talking really good about this bee, and then you said stinging.
Well, they got to defend themselves somehow, right?
They do. Now, would
protect themselves, protect the hive.
Are these what you would find when you see beehives out there, or people building beehives and stuff? Is this what typically
If somebody's building a beehive, they are almost certainly doing it for European honeybees. So European honeybees are colony insects. A lot of bumblebees are colony insects. Ants are. Paper wasps are. Most of the bees in Wisconsin are not. They're solitary. So they either nest in wood, like a carpenter bee will do that, or things like mason bees and leafcutter bees will build nests underground. If you go to to Olbrich Gardens, you'll see they've got a little house with a bunch of small wooden tubes. They're setting those up for bees to live in, and those are solitary bees. They're not in a colony. They're not cooperating together. They just find one tube. They build their own little home in there. So if someone is building a nest in their backyard, or if they're doing a large-scale honey production, it's the European honeybee. So that's the first aspect of this. European honeybees, they've followed us so well. They're so effective at pollinating because they're really adaptable, and they're generalists. They will pretty much eat nectar from anything. That's why you get wildflower honey and clover honey and tupelo honey and manuka honey and orange blossom honey and all these different types of honey. European honeybees, if it's got nectar, they'll go for it. The second aspect of this is that Wisconsin, as I said, has over 400 bee species. Most of them are in decline. Colony collapse disorder for honeybees is a really big deal. It's very concerning. It is less concerning than the plight of native bees, which are also, populations are falling, and they're not rebounding as well, and they don't have a massive multi-billion-dollar industry that is working hard to research what's going on and to help prop them up. So when we talk about native plantings, native landscaping, native gardening, what we're really talking about is planting native species of flowers and trees and other plants that will help support those native species. Honeybee will go for anything. The more nectar it produces, the better. So things like, clover is really good, and the wild bergamot's a really good one for nectar production, and things like that honeybees go for. But native bees, they adapted, they co-evolved along with a lot of native plant and flower species. And so when we plant native species, we're propping up those native bees. And now you're getting into things like asters and goldenrods and coneflower and black-eyed Susan. One of my favorites is there's a flower called bottle gentian, or blue bottle gentian. It's this little blue or sometimes even white flower that is basically always closed. So most bees can't get into it. But a little bumblebee with its strong, hefty body can squeeze in there and get the nectar out. So there's a very particular adaptation of this one flower that needs bumblebees to pollinate it. You plant those, great for bumblebees around you. So there's a lot of those native species flower and bee pairings that when we talk about native plantings, we're thinking about those native species that really need these flowers to survive. And those are flowers that are in decline as well because of the amount of development that we've done on formerly green spaces.
What if people want to get involved in bringing the bees back, we talk about this all the time, but I throw it out there. What if you're afraid, though, of bees at the same time? You're like, oh my gosh, I want to get stung, i.e. the stinging side, but I also want to do my part to help.
Oh, that was me for the longest time. As a kid, I would collect bees in a peanut butter jar, and I promised this wasn't malicious, but I would shake it to hear them buzz, because I just loved that sound. I thought it was really cool. And then they stopped buzzing. We all know what that means. I'd put it down and walk away. They got their revenge on me. They got their revenge on me over the years. I stepped on a hornet and got stung. I got some ground hornets up my shorts. I got a yellow jacket in my arm. And I was very much afraid of these guys for years. And then I spent a summer doing research on honeybees in the plains of eastern Kansas. It's actually very soothing now to have honeybees flying around me. I still avoid there are certain species that they're just more aggressive, and that's yellow jackets, it's the bald-faced hornets, it's paper wasps are a little bit more. They mostly defend themselves and their nest or their food, but there are some that I give them their respect and their space. Honeybees, not aggressive. They're very docile.
So it's worth giving it a shot,
It's
and many
absolutely worth giving it a
different
shot.
ways. But you're going to draw some bees in.
So there
but
are
that's okay.
tons of resources that you can find online. You can look at the Wisconsin DNR. You can look at UW's Wisconsin Extension, and there are resources on learning more about bees and the other pollinating insects and what sorts of things you can plant to support them. We've talked before about different websites like UW Arboretum has a plant finder, native plant finder, and Ladybird Johnson Wildflower Center based out of Texas. These are great resources for looking up flowers and other plants that you can put in your yard, and they will often tell you if things have special benefit to native bee butterfly species. One of the best, easiest places to start is just go to a local gardening or nursery center and ask them, what are good flowers that I could put in my yard? Here's the type of property I've got, how much sun I have, if there are trees nearby, if it's wide open, how much space I've got available, and what sorts of things I'm looking to support. Do I have to worry about protecting from deer and rabbits browsing, even is a big one. There are some flowers that you need to put cages around because rabbits will gobble it right up. Some they don't touch. So a lot of different considerations, but go talk to a nursery or gardening expert and they can hook you up.
Save the bees.
Save the bees.
Save the planet.
That's right.
Cool flowers.
Yeah.
Something like that. No.
Yeah.
All right. Kind of maybe in similar fashion here, you told me we were going to talk about some good news and some bad news today.
As long as we're talking about saving the planet.
Yeah. But this should get you going for wanting to save the planet even more.
So,
but there's a thing called Earth Overshoot Day.
Earth
Overshoot Day. And frankly, Nick reminded, I think we've talked about this in the past.
Yep.
And
it always makes you a little sad, and I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, well, it's sad because it's moved up.
Yeah, it has. So we've talked about carbon footprint calculators, ecological footprint calculators. Essentially, the idea is how many resources am I individually taking, requiring the Earth to produce to sustain my lifestyle. And the ecological footprint calculator is maybe the most striking one in terms of the result it gives you, where it says if everyone lived the way you live, we would need X number of Earths to sustain your lifestyle. And when I've done this, depending on living in an apartment downtown versus living in a standalone house in the suburbs, my answers have ranged anywhere from like 2.5 up to 4 Earths that would be required to sustain my individual lifestyle. And then you look at that and you start saying, okay, from a dietary standpoint, from a housing standpoint, from transportation standpoint, what can I adjust to try to get that number down? If everyone lived like me, I would love to be below 1 Earth, because what that means is the Earth is producing enough resources to sustain that lifestyle over the long term. If we are using more, obviously this is you can't have infinite growth when there are finite resources, and the Earth is a finite resource. If we are exceeding the Earth's ability to regenerate at some point, the bill comes due. And we don't know exactly what that looks like, but we know that it is getting closer and not farther away. So this concept of overshoot day this has been calculated since, I think, the early 70s. The beginning of the calculations kind of line up with the beginning of Earth Day being celebrated. And essentially we're calculating at what point in the year does the whole of the global human population, does it surpass the Earth's ability to sustain our consumption? That doesn't mean we use up all of the Earth's resources by that point. It means that we are passing a point where it can all be regenerated to match what we've been consuming. So we're drawing down what the Earth can actually keep regenerating. You go back to the early 70s, we were hitting overshoot. We were passing that capacity in December. For the past 20-ish years, we've been hitting it in August. This year, Earth Overshoot Day is projected to fall on July 31st. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time it's happened in July, so it is still moving up. It has kind of plateaued. You saw a pretty steep angle where it went over a 20-year period from November to September, and it was accelerating pretty quickly. That has slowed down, so that's cause for optimism. But we are still, as a species, using more resources than the Earth can over the long term regenerate. So it's a point of concern. It's something to think about and figure out where can we get more wins, where can we reverse that momentum and try to get ourselves to a more sustainable collective lifestyle.
So I feel like this is like when you look back at all the interviews and all the stuff we talked about, taking pieces out of all the interviews we've done, I think, making some changes helps this day, right?
Yeah,
helps.
absolutely.
Let's push that back. Let's get that back on the other side of August, huh? Or maybe
September, October, November. Those are long-term goals as well. We could get it back to August 2nd would be a good start.
Yeah. Well, I would say there is a website for this.
There is.
And I was paging through it here, just kind of looking up some of the things that you were referencing, and it gives you some great starting spots to, if you're looking and considering, different paths on trying to help. Or you could just call Phil and Phil, no, just kidding.
Well, I love talking about this stuff. If you couldn't tell before.
Oh, really? I didn't even know.
So you can go to footprintnetwork.org, and that's where you can find the ecological footprint calculator. And then from there's a bunch of links to solutions and information and educational materials for students and teachers. Overshoot.footprintnetwork.org gives you the Overshoot Day information. I don't want to be overly Pollyannish about it. It doesn't look great, but also there are places to find optimism. There are places to find reason for hope. There's a lot of really valuable information out there.
The more knowledge we get as this goes on, too, also can help us fight the change, fight to make changes and to do things that we know have better outcomes.
Right.
So.
And like I was referencing, with dietary changes, travel changes, where you are choosing to or able to live, there are a lot of changes you can make. A really great way to explore that is a website called drawdown.org. Now, about a decade or so ago, there was a book created by Paul Hawken and a number of collaborators called Project Drawdown, and this was a pretty hefty book that looked at a number of different things that we could do collectively to halt the climate crisis to a point that's manageable for our species. If you go to drawdown.org, there's an explorer that shows hundreds of different solutions, areas where you can look to make a difference. There are some things that are going to be approachable for some people and not others, vice versa. Looking at what pops up first when I look at this page right now, and there's deploying clean cooking, alternative insulation materials, use heat pumps instead of combustion furnaces and boilers, improve windows and glass for better insulation and to reduce bird collisions, distributed solar PV, LED lighting. Most of this is still just an energy. There's solutions for food systems and water use and materials consumption, recycling. There's a ton of things you can explore there, and it describes why is this thing recommended, what is highly recommended among all the different options, and you can kind of figure out what are things that are approachable for you right now, and what are things you can that you can maybe try to build towards that are a little bit more ambitious.
Again, take a shot, right?
Yeah.
Give it a chance. Try something different. Explore. Like I could say if you were concerned about price, if you were concerned about accessibility to whatever, like there are certainly ways to get involved and just try things out. And certainly, again, a lot of solutions out there for getting in on it.
Yep.
And you want to get in on this.
Yeah.
Because I want the bees back.
We want the bees back.
Because I want to challenge this guy to more bee talk. So,
that's right. I need to know more species than the one.
400 species, you said, right?
Over 400 species is the number that I see. I haven't counted them all. I'm relying on bee researchers, but that's the number that I see is over 400 species native to Wisconsin.
Do you have like a bee collection or a bee is there some? I was just at your desk today.
I just collect them in my heart. That's all.
All right. Well, note to self: I'm getting you some type of bee something.
Yeah.
I got to. I'm gonna find a way. Or the peanut butter jar with bees in it.
Here's what we can set as our goal is bring back the one that's maybe gotten the most attention in Fitchburg in Dane County in the state is the rusty-patched bumblebee. It is an endangered bumblebee species, and it was seen a couple years ago, identified in Fitchburg, so we know it's here. We know it's endangered, so it really needs help. Ooh. So supporting the rusty-patched bumblebee, and this is one of those things where what tends to happen is you help one species, you help a whole bunch more beyond that.
I was gonna say there's probably some good.
There's
effect.
a lot of dependencies there. Yep. Yep.
All right, Phil. Well, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, and have a delicious day.
Fantastic.
I worked all the time for this. I couldn't come up with a better one.
That's perfect. No edits.